September 29th, 1975 was an important day in Detroit's black history. That's when the nation's first black-owned and operated television station, WGPR-TV62, began broadcasting from a building on East Jefferson. The station was owned by the International Free and Accepted Modern Masons. Founder William Banks envisioned WGPR as a place where African Americans could get valuable training and experience behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera. Indeed, WGPR launched many television careers, along with popular local programs such as The Scene, Big City News, Porterhouse, and Black Film Showcase. I'm joined now by members of the WGPR-TV Historical Society, President Joe Spencer, Executive Director Karen Hudson Samuels, and founding board member Amyre Makupson. Welcome back to American Black Journal. It has been almost a year since you guys were here talking about the launch of this historical society and the need to create a space for all these memories to live. So where are we now?
Well, first of all, I can say that we are growing the membership, that we do have a place for everything to take place, and that is we're going to actually build a studio at WGPR housed on Jefferson Avenue.
Okay, so it's gonna go right back to the original space.
Well, the plan at this time is that in January of next year, 2016, we will have an exhibit that will be housed at the Detroit Historical Museum.
Okay.
We'll have a 3-month play there, and then once that's completed, we will move it to WGPR Studios.
Okay, very good. So we're about to have all of this stuff where it needs to be.
Yeah, and I should add is that through some very hard work of our Executive Director Karen Hudson, we have been received historical marker for the station from the Michigan Historical Society. So it will now become a permanent historical site in the state of Michigan. Yeah.
Right.
Now that process was interesting. It was an important milestone along the way toward having the exhibit at the studios. First at the museum, as Joe said, and then later at the station. But we're talking about African American first. There were broadcast first at the station realized as well, which was part of the criteria that the Michigan Historical Commission would say, well, what else is there?
Right.
And so we had to go back, or I had to go back and do some research about some of the things that Joe and Amyre remember as first that had to be confirmed, and one of them was WGPR was the first station to remain on the air for 24 hours here in the Detroit market.
Oh, is that right? Right. I remember stations used to go off.
All-night movies. And remember the old, they would show the broadcast signal, and also they would play the national anthem.
The Star Spangled Banner, sure.
And then that would be the end of the day.
It
was. So, you know, those were some of the things that we had to prove. But because it's Black History Month, we also wanted to let people know that William Banks was quite a phenomenal businessman in his own right.
Yeah. And tell me about some of the things that he did.
Well, you know, his father was a sharecropper from Kentucky, so you can imagine that those were his beginnings, and from there moving to Detroit and starting first as a lawyer, as an attorney. Then a businessman, and then an educator, and then as the founder of the International Masons. And I know Joe can talk about, he was also a major real estate investor here in Detroit and throughout the state.
He actually owned the Broadwick Tower, which is you know, a significant skyscraper.
Right, and now is open as apartments. But was closed for a long time.
And you know, to tell you how smart he was, he actually bought the building, which housed WJLB at that time, which was his major competitor. So
right. So he had control of everything, right?
Yeah, that was just kind of thing.
Martha Jean was there.
Exactly. But he was really a smart man, and had a massive amount of real estate all over the state and the country, and you know, was quite the businessman. You know, quite the developer.
Yeah. Amyre, you're one of the people whose careers was launched in a very visible way from WGPR. I may be dating myself here, but I can remember watching you on the news.
You're dating me.
When I was a child, that Channel 50 news broadcast. I remember your name really well. Tell me what it was like, though, at GPR, which is where you were before Channel 50.
I sure was, Stephen. I have to tell you, for me, it was an absolute dream. I was in heaven. I was in heaven on earth. I was presented with the most important thing, which was the opportunity to show that I could and would do
Right.
what they needed that coincided with everything and everyone else. We were so proud of the Big City News with Amyre Porter and Pal DeQ. That was our first newscast, and it was September the 29th, 75. And it was a lot of us, you know, we knew a little bit about television. Some of us had some experience, some of us had gone to school, but they gave us the opportunity to bring what we had and make it work.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, personally, I have had the best television career in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, bar no one. I had the opportunity to do it. I was able to learn it. I went to 50. I was going to stay a year or two and do something else. I stayed 25 years, so they stopped doing news.
Right.
But had it not been for 62, it never, ever would have happened. And the real irony is that at the end of my career, 62 comes over to 50. CBS, and so,
right.
yeah, I'm doing the 10 o'clock news on Channel 50 and the CBS 11 o'clock news on 62,
Right.
which is where I started. It was phenomenal for me, just phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
I should just say that is one of WGPR's legacies. All the careers they launched. I mean, they launched careers for people all over the country. You know, one of the most significant, aside from Amyre, Sean Robinson.
Sean Robinson.
Thank you.
Access Hollywood.
Access Hollywood.
Right. She had a talk show.
But you know, the station also had many firsts. As an example, with news, the station was the first operator to do news in electronic, what they call electronic news gathering.
Right.
Okay, doing the electronic field gathering, and so that everybody else was still using film back in those days, but
Right.
they were the first to do that. So, you know, just those kind of things make our station, WGPR, worthy of what we're trying to do with the historical.
And
Society.
Stephen, also, there, you know, I mean, you can say Amyre, you can say Sean, and that's nice. But we launched major careers of people you'll never know the name of, and they have done wonderful things, and you can't do it without starting, and that's where they got to start.
Right. Well, and as I said in the intro, it's the behind the scenes opportunities that African Americans couldn't find in other places. They often found it at GPR as well.
And it was an independent station, which was one of the factors that made it possible for people to work behind the scenes. As an independent station, non-union, they could operate the cameras and the boards and so forth.
And do lots of different things.
And do lots of different things. And there was a lot of trust that was given us to do a good job. And so we were very thankful because, as Amyre said, some of us had experience or education or background, but boy, the trust and faith that they put in us, we try to deliver all the time.
Yeah, I mean, now of course African Americans have opportunities in media, in all kinds of spaces that they didn't then. But I wonder, you know, with GPR being gone, are we missing something? I mean, it wouldn't be serving the same purpose in terms of opportunity, but was there a sort of, I mean, it was a cultural marker.
It was a different voice too for the
right.
Particularly when it came to news. I mean, the kind of news that was covered there, you wouldn't find on any other stations. And that voice needs to be heard, and that's one of the things that's missing now, in my opinion, is that so many times we don't get the perspective that WGPR provided for our community.
Right.
That's interesting. One of our former employees donated some of her scripts that we'll put into the museum. And I was reading through those scripts. We were doing all this international news.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was interesting. We were covering Idi Amin regularly, and what he. But I mean, we were covering. There was a lot of independence activities on the continent of Africa. We covered that nightly, and I'm looking through script. She had about 30 pages of scripts.
Wow.
So it wasn't just local news, but we had a global perspective before that concept
Right.
for a local station was considered important. And also, Joe mentioned cultural. I think cultural programs that we did were quite broad.
Right.
I mean, as an independent station, GPR was responsible for its entire broadcast day. There was not a network providing programming.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had
So you
sports
had to
shows,
do- you had to
talk
come up with-
shows, entertainment. We had a polka dance show. Yes, we did.
Wrestling,
Wrestling. I
Live
remember I
wrestling.
remember the wrestling.
We were talking about the racing show earlier. I mean,
Horses, yeah.
Horses, DRC, Detroit Crime Alert. I mean, the full day, we established 24 hours, right? Had to be programmed.
You had to program all
Had
of
to
that.
program. And I think that's missing currently from the market is the breadth of programming, which means there are opportunities for people to get involved and test their careers.
Yeah.
And of course, the other side of it is, of course, it gave many people their opportunity behind the scenes.
Right,
You know,
right.
At one time, when I first came to the station, I was the executive producer, and we would operate that station 20 hours a day, you know, with producing and developing programming. I mean, 7 days a week we were going. I mean, nobody was doing anything like that.
Right. No way. You couldn't have gotten that kind of opportunity somewhere else.
Exactly.
Because nobody was getting it.
So as a result, you have operators and technicians all over the state that came out of
Who came out of GPR? All right. How we've got about 30 seconds. How soon will you have all your stuff together for this museum? That's next year at the Historical Museum, right?
That's right. That's, as Joe said, January 2016.
Okay.
We're working with their curator and exhibit people right now.
Yeah.
And so we hope in the fall of 2016 that we'll open and
start
move
moving
that
it back
exhibit
to-
to what we call the birthplace now,
Right.
African American owned television station
On
in the
East
country.
Jefferson, yeah.
On East Jefferson. So that's the home, and that'll be in the fall of 2016.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to it. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.